I think it's kind of like generationally. I feel like guys are a lot different. When I think about my dad and his generation, um, he does not buy anything for grooming at all. So, like for him to get any kind of grooming products would have to come from my mom. And I think there's probably a lot of men in that generation who almost expect their significant others to be making those decisions for them. Whereas I do feel like the younger generation is a little more in tune with the products that are available to them and what they're looking for. So I do feel like there is almost a different strategy depending on your generation, or at least your generational mindset.
You are listening to Power Marketing with Kevin Lee. Kevin and his agency Did It have helped thousands of businesses win through superior marketing, as have his books, articles, speaking engagements, and the eMarketing Association Power Marketing podcasts. Here's Kevin.
I'm pleased to be joined today by Eric Bandholz, who's one of the founders of BeardBrand. And they've got a fascinating story, but I'll let him tell it. So why don't you just give us the background and origin story for BeardBrand to start off?
Hey, excited to be on the show and talking about BeardBrand and what we've done. For those who are not familiar with BeardBrand, we are a men's grooming company who has bootstrapped. We started with a $30 investment, which was a Shopify subscription, and have been able to grow that to a upper seven-figure business with no investors, no outside money, and just a lot of hard work and a lot of learned lessons. We're celebrating our 10-year anniversary this year, and we've grown primarily through our organic content marketing strategy, which has been led by our YouTube channel, as well as our blogging efforts, and of course, funneling them into our email flows, which we've built out quite extensive flows. And then we're pretty active across the board in social media, so TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and then we actually pulled off paid about a year ago. So it's been kind of a fun journey of this past year as we celebrate our 10-year anniversary.
Well, congrats on that. I'm curious, were there specific beard grooming and men's grooming challenges that you felt you couldn't solve with the products that were out there that were like the real catalyst for you saying, listen, we got to solve this?
Yeah, I mean, if like I said, we've been doing this for 10 years. So 10 years ago was a completely different space than we're at now. Beard care as an industry essentially did not exist. So BeardBrand was one of the first players out there to bring credibility to the space and to the idea that you could apply products to your beard and that it would actually bring value to the consumer. So there's a lot of education in that process. As one of the first brands to the market, we couldn't just leverage what other people have done. We had to essentially create the market. So the strategy was a very much, I don't know if you're familiar with the term like blue ocean, red ocean, but blue ocean means like it's completely wide open. There's tons of opportunity. Red ocean means there's a lot of blood in the water and you're kind of fighting the other competitors. And that's usually a race to the bottom when it comes to price point and commoditization of products. So we're very much in a blue ocean category when we started, which meant we leaned into our strengths, which was creating content and bringing value to our consumers. And our products, beard oil was kind of like the breadwinner product that we started with and kind of leaned into that. And then we've grown with additional beard care products, but we've gone beyond the beard with hair care and skin care and body care as well.
So do you feel like there have been a lot of folks who tried to jump into the category to sort of redden the water at this point?
Yeah, I mean, many years ago, I was on Shark Tank in 2014, and at the time, the sharks didn't know anyone who had facial hair, and they couldn't see the potential in the marketplace. And now you have mega brands like Gillette, who have their own. Gillette and Old Spice have their own beard care line. So it's clearly a different environment now than it was, 5 or 8 years ago. And I still think there's a lot of opportunity for growth. I don't think we're at this point where there's blood in the water. I think to a certain degree, there's still a lot of guys who are not familiar with how to groom a beard or how to grow a beard, and the fact that there are products out there that can make the experience that much better. So yeah, it's definitely a ton of competition. We have literally thousands of competitors out there selling similar products. So it is quite competitive, but it's a lot of fun too.
Cool. Well, I also noticed you started a podcast of your own, and welcome to this podcast, but you also chose to spin one up yourself. Was there a catalyst for that?
Yeah, so my podcast is called E-commerce Conversations, and it's I'm actually an employee of that. I don't own the podcast. Carrie over at Practical E-commerce has been doing that podcast. I think at the time, I don't know how many episodes they had under their belt, probably like a couple hundred or 300, something like that. And he brought me on as a guest. I spoke, and then I think he wanted to focus on different things within the business model, and he asked me if I would host it. And I don't know, sometimes I have a hard time saying no. So I said yes to that. And he's been really good to me in terms of allowing me to bring on the guests who I want to bring on, and direct the show in a way that I want to direct it. So it's been a lot of fun to build that and interview guests and talk about e-commerce.
Great. Yeah. I mean, with regards to the E-Marketing Association podcast, we've done probably 95% of them, via Zoom, but we've done a few of them live. And there's definitely a little bit of a different vibe. And you've done a mix as well. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on sort of what the live vibe difference is from the Zoom vibe when you're doing podcasts.
Yeah, I try to, as much as possible, do them all in studio. Obviously, that was quite challenging with the lockdowns over the past couple of years. It's opened up again, but I prefer live. My style is I don't have any questions written in advance, and I think there's just some kind of intangible like communication things that happen from having a podcast in person that you don't always get with a Zoom podcast. We're fortunate that here in Austin, there's so many incredible entrepreneurs. And I've also built out the little podcast studio that I've taken on the road. So I went up to Boston this past weekend and interviewed the founder of Klaviyo. So I'm excited for that to come up. And that was another live podcast that we did. So I do prefer live, but it's just not always logistically possible. And I try to do weekly podcasts as well. And when you have those constraints, sometimes you have to make concessions.
Yeah. Well, I'll absolutely want to start layering in some live podcasts since I've got my Manhattan office, and 50-mile radius of Manhattan. There's a lot of folks I can bring in face to face. So I look forward to doing that.
New York's a gregreat place to be. There's so many incredible people up there.
Absolutely. So back to beards. I feel like hair care in general is a very emotional category, and as a result, probably beard care is equally emotional. People are very attached to their own beards, but not only them, their significant others are sometimes really attached to the beards, right? So I'm curious as to how that's changed your marketing strategy and your marketing dynamic, particularly as it relates to gifting, right? I mean, I probably wouldn't gift my wife a hair care product just because she's extremely particular, as most people would be. But is it sort of the same thing in the beard care category, where it's challenging for people to gift beard care products, or can people pretty much feel confident when they're doing gifting for the holiday season?
Yeah, I mean, I think the joke I like to say is the beard's grown on me as much as it's grown on my wife. Right. When I grew my beard out for the first time. So there is certainly, this understanding that, like it or not, your style, your beard, your hair, those choices, they do affect other people. And for a lot of guys, you can take that into consideration, or you can just do whatever you want. I think most guys out there want to look their best for their significant others. I'm very fortunate that my wife allows me, I wouldn't say allows me, but she is supportive or not argumentative towards the directions I go. I'm currently growing my hair a little bit longer, and she doesn't prefer the longer hair, but she doesn't ever complain about it or ask me to do anything different. I think it's kind of like generationally. I feel like guys are a lot different. When I think about my dad and his generation, he does not buy anything for grooming at all. So, like for him to get any kind of grooming products would have to come from my mom. And I think there's probably a lot of men in that generation who almost expect their significant others to be making those decisions for them. Whereas I do feel like the younger generation is a little more in tune with the products that are available to them and what they're looking for. So I do feel like there is almost a different strategy depending on your generation, or at least your generational mindset, and being able to identify that. The majority of our customers tend to be the direct users. However, if you compared the amount of guys who watched our YouTube videos, let's say it's like 95% of our content is consumed by guys, and the amount of people who purchase, let's say it's 70% are guys, there's clearly this gap where women are purchasing for men at a higher rate than men are consuming our content. So there's a little bit of that gifting going on, and I think there's, generally speaking, men are okay with that.
Right. So for those people watching who are potentially looking at the upcoming holiday season and deciding whether or not, beard grooming products should be in their mix, maybe with Movember, right? Somebody that may be the catalyst for some of their significant others to make the move, either just with the mustache or the full beard. So if that happens, any recommendations for them of what would be a great starter for their significant other to get into beard grooming?
Yeah, I mean, at BeardBrand, the 10-year anniversary is really special for us because we're kind of in the midst of this transition for our product line. So we're repackaging our products. We're changing some of the names and some of the formulations to have a little more versatility. So I talked about beard oil being a big product for us in the past, but we've rebranded it to utility oil, which is an oil that you can use obviously on your beard, but you can use it as a face oil or as a body oil, anywhere really that you need hydration or more moisturizing your skin, even moisturizing your hair if you have really dry hair. So utility oil is such a versatile product. And then, our balm is our utility balm. It functions very similarly, but it's a little bit heavier conditioning product. And then our utility bar is a cleansing product. So it's a bar you can use on your body, on your beard. You can use it as a shave soap. You can use it in your hair if you're wanting to travel light. It's a great product for that. And then we'll be launching this November a utility wash and a utility softener. So if you want like a liquid wash versus a bar wash, really have that flexibility. So whether they have a beard or don't have a beard, the products are going to be able to be used. So you don't have to worry about buying something for a guy who's growing his first beard out, then he decides he doesn't like it, and then you have, $20 or $50 or $60 worth of products that you can't use. So pretty much anything and everything, I would say, buy a BeardBrand.
All right, that's good. One thing you mentioned on your site is that you guys believe in quality and function over fashion and fads, but a lot of folks believe that the sort of beards go through a cycle, as do hairstyles, right? And so there is a bit of a fashion and fad element to whether or not beards exist and how they look, right? At certain periods of time, you might have a ZZ Top style beard, and then they may suddenly be shorter, and same thing with mustaches. So do you feel like your product line accommodates those changes in what's considered fashionable with regards to facial hair over time?
Yeah, I mean, beards are essentially part of being a human. Like you can't choose to not have facial hair come out of your face or not. It either does or it doesn't. It's just kind of part of who you are. So if anything, what we've seen in the past, well, I guess my early lifetime, is just this fad of shaving, where the unnatural status of man was that we would shave every day, which is not tied into our DNA. It's not really human to go around looking like guys looked with a completely shaved face. So I do think we are kind of ending that shaving fad that we had going for probably about 50 or 60 years. I don't think that was kind of the status look for the majority of men throughout humanity. That being said, like our products, we do men's grooming products. So, our body, our utility bar, doesn't matter if you have a beard or not, or utility oil, utility balm. We have hair styling products or sea salt sprays, hair care product. The wash and softener are as much designed for your head hair as your beard, of course, your body as well. We have EDP, a cologne. So, BeardBrand is positioned in a way that, as long as there are men who exist, I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. One thing that is probably a byproduct of your origin story is you guys spend a lot of time educating consumers and potential consumers about ingredients, and it's within your social media, it's within your YouTube channel. It's much more education centric, I think, than a lot of other brands that have come before you and come after you. Was that your own curiosity that drove that? Like, as you guys brainstorm internally as a staff, like, how do you decide, all right, what's the next area of education that we need to focus on?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you really go back to the days of BeardBrand 2012, when we launched our YouTube channel, it was as much me sharing the things that I learned, not as an expert, but as a kind of a peer in me going through this journey. And that's always kind of been my preference, is like, I don't want to come in as an expert. And we've certainly learned a lot over the years, but I'm just a guy like everybody else, and I've certainly spent some more time in this space than anyone else, but not to the point where I know everything. I certainly still have a lot to learn. So we created content that way. A lot of the content that I like to produce was less about like the product and how to use it, and more about the journey, like how to grow a beard. Like if you're growing a beard for the first time and you're in an environment that it's not generally acceptable to have a beard, what are ways to handle that? Or if your spouse is not crazy about you having facial hair, how do you, broach that subject? Or your parents give you a lot of flack for it, so I kind of came in from a little bit different angle, just because that was also the struggles I dealt with. I used to be a financial advisor. I'm a business person, and in the business space, like facial hair, especially 10 years ago, 15 years ago, was not acceptable at all. And you would get a lot of flack for having any kind of facial hair. So that was kind of our roots. And then from there, what you do is you look at how people ask questions, and you interact with your community, and what is the community wanting to know and learn about. And then that kind of gives you guidance and direction of what the next content can be.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the word community. One of the things that I've found that work particularly in high emotion categories is, tapping into the community, whether you want to call them influencers or nano influencers or micro influencers, or you just want to call them, in many cases, passionate customers, right? Which will do things often for free just because they're really passionate. That didn't exist 15 years ago either, right? And now those kinds of communities around products and around brands, they went from existing for Harley Davidson and a few niche brands to being much more prevalent. So I'd love to hear how you feel your community has evolved and grown, and how you're tapping into it as a marketing channel.
Yeah, I mean, I never liked the mindset of leveraging your community to grow, or seeing it as this like ability to take advantage of them to, whatever. So I like to think about building the community as a way to just build authentic relationships with our audience. And then without any kind of expectations from that, any kind of expectations of sales or growth or referrals. I just, genuinely enjoy getting to know our customers to the best of our ability. Obviously, at our scale, I can't know everyone. But for those who do take the time to invest in the brand, I have developed many good friendships with community members over the years. We just put on in-person conference. We call it the Alliance Conference. The Alliance is the name of our community at BeardBrand. And, so it was about 20 guys who came in, and, we get haircuts and we share stories, and we're able to connect with other like-minded men who are going through various things in their lives, and gives us an opportunity to kind of like bring the online connection that they have and bring it into in person, and be able to share those experiences and hopefully develop relationships. Because the one thing I have noticed is the internet is really great at showing you that there's other people out there like you. And, you move into a neighborhood, and, hopefully your neighbor and you get along, but sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. And then you can feel quite lost if, everyone at my church sees the world differently, and everyone in my career sees the world differently, and everyone in my neighborhood sees the world differently. And I feel very lost and alienated. But then I go online and I see like, oh my God, there's a bunch of people out there like me. There's a bunch of people who care about their style. They care about their growth. They care about, their journey and becoming the best person they can become. And like, they don't want to get caught up in the consumer cycle. Or I'm speaking specifically for our community. And then to be able to resonate and connect, it gives you a sense of power that you're not alone, and that you can kind of face this adversity and overcome it. So we just want to be a foster for that. We want to foster that community. We want to allow it to happen, and for people who resonate with that they have that option. And then if they tell other people about us, great. If they don't, great. But really, what we care about is kind of like that tagline: keep on growing, and that they take the time to invest in themselves and work to grow.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm curious whether you had a specific content reuse and content syndication strategy as it related to the things that were going to happen at the live event, or whether you really just wanted to have the live event and then decide afterwards to what extent you used or reused or resyndicated content that originated at the event.
Yeah, a lot of our customers and Alliance community members first found out about us through our YouTube channel. On our YouTube channel, we produce these videos that are essentially people getting a haircut, so they have a little bit of transformation. So they've gotten to know the barbers as well, and we wanted to give them that experience of being able to be in the chair of their favorite barber, and then also being able to be filmed and get up on the YouTube channel. So we did film a lot of those haircuts, and we're excited to share that transformation with the community members. So there is an element of that where we're able to kind of give them an experience that they get to share, and then for us to be able to produce that content of some people who have incredible stories to tell.
Yeah, I mean that's great storytelling, right? Because you're using your customers as the stars of the story, not yourselves, right? The brand comes along for the ride.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, like that's so we have a barbershop. We opened the barbershop up about 2 years ago, and it's been a great resource for us to be able to give our customers an in-person experience to the brand, and being able to, a lot of times I'll think about what can Amazon do that's really good, and what can they do, or what can they not do? And one of those things is I don't think Amazon's going to get into the barbering world. So, I think about our brand and the experience you can have, and being able to go in and have a great haircut and connect with a barber and get the education, style consulting. Like we do that where maybe you're not in Austin, can't go to the barbershop, but we still have a style consultant on staff that you can text us, send photographs of what you're doing, and we'll give you advice on how you should grow your beard out, or what's going to look the best, how to care for it, and how to make sure that you're doing things to the best of your potential.
Great. So in addition to sort of the additional SKUs that you plan on rolling out over the next year, is there anything else that has you super excited?
Yeah, I mean, I speak of Amazon, and we haven't really sold on Amazon. I know it's a great platform for a lot of people. We're going to try to dip our toes back in that water and see if we have any kind of traction in there, as well as Europe. We used to sell in Europe, but it's something that we refocused on the U.S. market over the past like 3 or 4 years. So we're going to try to get back into Europe in 2023 as well. So those are going to be the big things after we complete our relaunch of our products. Yeah, it's been a lot in the works, and it's kind of mostly going to be wrapped up by Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So once the holiday season is over, then the fun begins of trying to get those products in as many people's hands as possible.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't really delve into Amazon, but for our DTC clients that typically have a love-hate relationship with Amazon, because Amazon's the largest commerce search engine, they sort of feel like that forces them to be there. But the loss of the direct customer relationship with regards to sort of email is a big challenge there. I think you guys are in a unique position due to your heavy social media footprint that to some extent acts as a secondary channel of communications with your clients. So I think you may be able to find that perfect balance, which eludes a lot of DTC marketers with regards to Amazon, is trying to figure out like what's that balance. If my customer wants to find me there and I'm not there, am I actually disappointing them, right? And can I go ahead and put my stuff there, but yet still retain the customer connection? And I look forward to seeing how you guys pull that off, because it seems to be a tightrope walk for all of our DTC clients.
Yeah, the nice thing is, we built the business in the way that we don't have to sell on Amazon. So we're kind of in control of the situation, where I know a lot of brands, if they don't have Amazon, they're going out of business. So that can be a very challenging place to be in, where you feel like the health and success of your business is dependent on this third party. So we never want to be in that position. We do prefer having that direct relationship with our audience and our customers. So we have always leaned on to beardbrand.com as that primary driver, and we will continue to do that, where it is a premier experience. The buying experience is just as good, and the one downside is maybe you get it in 3 days instead of 2 days. So there is going to be a little bit of a trade-off for consumers, but I think a lot of consumers are okay with that trade-off.
Yeah, no, it's really been more situations where when you start getting complaints from clients, like how come you're not in Amazon? That's where some of the DTC brands are like, they'll fold and they'll at least put some of their most popular SKUs up on Amazon.
Well, it's easy to say, like, when you have a badass experience where it's like, when you order a box from BeardBrand on beardbrand.com, the packaging, the unboxing is much nicer. It's not just this ugly Amazon box with this like inflatable plastic bag that's all, things are just getting all dinged up, and then like the customer experience we have is just like, dude, I can confidently say you can buy on Amazon or you can buy on BeardBrand, you're going to get a hell of a lot better experience on beardbrand.com. And I think a lot of brands, they can't say that. They don't have a good online shopping experience. They haven't invested what they can, and they're not true to their brand. They're not true to their mission. And, but there are brands out there like Patagonia where they'll recycle, your old Patagonia, they'll sew it up for you and send it back to you. Like, there's all these cool and incredible things that you can do, that if you're not, growth as the number one metric in your company, by shifting that focus and being mission oriented, that it allows you to stay off Amazon or not make Amazon such a big part of your business model.
Yeah, it gives you flexibility for sure. Final question, because you brought up unboxing, and I always feel like a lot of DTC brands underinvest in the packaging and unboxing experience, and they don't realize that touch point, particularly for a new customer, shapes in some cases the way a person thinks about the brand. And I'd love to hear how you guys thought about your packaging and creating that unboxing experience, particularly for new customers, and how that's worked out for you.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is, as much as I wish people didn't buy on Amazon, they bought directly, the reality is I am competing with Amazon for that buyer experience. So a lot of the things that I think about in building a brand is like, what does Amazon do well, and what can Amazon not do? And they're not going to put the time and energy into that unboxing experience just because of the incredible amounts of SKUs they have, the amount of boxes. Like, it's just not logistically feasible for them. and it's not their business model. So because they're not doing that, that gives us opportunity to say, well, there are people out there who want a nicer experience. You know, they don't want their products to arrive like they came from some mega factory filled by people who have to pee in cans to be able to produce their metrics. So we put a little bit of time in there. We give freebies in there. We kind of like under promise and over deliver is how we try to do it. And, you know, I think there's a lot of people out there who do value that experience, and they're willing to wait an extra day to receive that.
Yeah, there's definitely a lesson in there for a lot of DTC merchants to, you know, the trade-off is in many cases worth it. And you know, have you found that the direct consumer relationship also has increased in a significant sort of subscription model bump up, where you've been able to sort of, you know, either right out of the gate or shortly thereafter move the people onto sort of a subscription plan?
Yeah, I mean, for us, like, I guess this kind of comes down to my own buying processes. I'm not much of a subscription guy unless it's something that is like very consistently used, like coffee. Like I know I'm drinking this amount of coffee every single day, and there's not a lot of variance to that. So me personally, like coffee is the only thing I subscribe to. I think there's a lot of bad experiences that can happen through subscription, where you either get too much product or you get too few products. We have it available for people who really want it, but it's not been a big part of our journey up to this point. However, I'm not anti-subscription as well, so I do think there's opportunity for us to be able to leverage that in a better way, and maybe help people know how to use the product in different ways, so that they don't have too much or too little, and then order it in frequency that works for them. So I think it's just a slightly more complicated way, and my solution to this is just, how do we make reordering super easy? So if you look at like our packaging here, I don't know if this will focus, but there's this
the QR code there.
Yeah, the QR code. So if you scan this QR code, it'll essentially take this product and add it directly to your cart to check out. So you know, it's a really easy reordering process that I feel is a unique solution over subscriptions, and kind of not relying on subscriptions forces us to think about ways that we can improve the customer experience without requiring them to be locked into this, you know, consistent ordering from them.
Yep, great point on if you can't predict daily usage, it's very difficult for a person to commit to a subscription model. So, you know,
yeah, and like generally, like we would formulate our stuff to be in bottles that last about 3 months. And if you think about it too, it's like if it was a monthly size, then yeah, it makes sense to get it every month. But then if it's monthly, you just have smaller packaging, more waste, more shipping costs. It's just, it doesn't seem to be like a more environmentally friendly strategy. So, you know, like we went with a kind of bigger packaging that can be used for longer periods of time. So, I mean, it's, you know, there's trade-offs to everything. And there's kind of decisions that you need to make. And, you know, we just kind of decided that we didn't want to lean on to the subscription model as our number one strategy.
Right. Cool. Well, I look forward to continuing to watch your brand evolve and your personal journeys as well. Thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Kevin Lee's Power Marketing is available on all your favorite podcast networks. Kevin loves helping businesses excel at marketing. Having marketing challenges? Just like Santa in The Miracle on 34th Street, if Kevin can't help you, he'll know someone who can. Find him on LinkedIn, subscribe, or follow.